Brittany, I feel like it's been forever since I've seen you.
Oh,
It feels like that. I think we've caught like one of the same Mac voices live in like 4 months.
Yeah, it's weird. It's great to see you.
It's
yes,
good
it
to
is.
see you too. And
Always
of
good to
course,
see you.
Dave.
Oh
I
yeah,
just look back
and Dave too. Yeah.
yeah. I look back, it's like it's been like way too long since you haven't been here. So I need to stop doing that.
All right.
Glad
I'm
you're
not
here
a
now.
pundit.
No, but I'm gonna.
That's what all the best pundits say.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Let's get all my socials out. That. Why have I not been using Text Expander for doing all the tweets and Facebook? I'm so silly.
That's a really good question.
I finally am
I
like,
have a confession.
yeah,
I never got around to installing it on this computer.
and you pay for it?
Interesting.
No, I don't.
Okay.
The old one was
Are you-
still working on my Air, on my M1 Air, but
the previous.
yeah, I'm a licensed kind of person where I can get away with it rather than a subscription because it's
Yeah, but I got all those bundle hunts and when they were giving the Text Expander away for like $3. I think I bought about 10 of them. I think I have like 36 months left.
Nice.
So, Brittany, so just so you know, I was gonna, hopefully you don't mind, that I was going to do a chat about the notification summary you did in your video.
I saw that. I was
okay
flattered.
with that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm doing two things. We're also gonna talk about focus mode. So I think those are spot on things that you like and talk about. And
I have videos on both of them.
I know you do. That's why I picked them, because
how
you can get you to not get you.
You can get me to come anyway. That's
have you engaged. I've learned over the years by doing this. I got to pick topics sometimes that the guests like. The good thing about Jeff is he's so universal. He's good at all of it. So
I just roll with it.
Yes, he's very good at that. So all right, so we're streaming. Let me.
But wait. I could have you picking topics that interest me.
Yeah, absolutely. You just got to tell me.
Now you tell me.
They do not include pants.
Yes,
I'm in.
Would be pants optional. All right.
I'm so sorry, Stephanie and Ozak. So I was doing my stream and I was like, hey, if you want background noise, come join us.
Well, yeah, I just sent it out, so they like going to live stream. It's out there. All right, got that recording, and nice audio hijack. Last one. Got that going, and just my notes. Those are important. All right, we're at episode 232. We're ready to go here. You guys ready? We're ready. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome to episode 232 of ITWIOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I am your host, Dave Ginsburg, and I am so thrilled she's back. It's been a long time, but I'm so glad she's here tonight. It's Brittany Smith. How you doing, Brittany?
I'm good, Dave. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. We always enjoy having you and give your insights on technology. And of course, Jeff Gammon is back here. We really appreciate it. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great, and as always, thanks for having me back. And I feel like it's a special episode because it's been so long since Brittany and I have been able to be on a show together.
Yeah, it's
so
been
true.
Way too long. We can't be doing that. So, so we got some good news stories this week. There's a fair amount of stuff going on. Beta just hit actually today as we record this. We'll talk about that in a little bit, as well as some other things that are happening. But let's waste no time and jump right into the news. This article is actually right hot off the press. It got posted not even a half hour ago since we are recording. Apple's iPhone 14 emergency SOS via satellite feature saved a stranded man in Alaska. With the launch of iOS 16.1, Apple, of course, rolled out the emergency SOS via satellite, which is designed to allow iPhone 14 owners to contact emergency services using satellite connectivity when there's no cellular or Wi-Fi connection available. It was put to the test today in Alaska when a man became stranded in a rural area. The story says in the early hours of on the morning of December 1st, which is actually today as we record, Alaska State Troopers received an alert that a man traveling by snow machine from Norvik to Kosovo had become stranded. The man was in a cold remote location with no connectivity, and he activated the emergency SOS, and it alerted the authorities to his predicament. Well, I think these kind of stories are really we're going to start hearing more and more of these now, and I'm so glad already. Number one, that's the first one I've seen. What do you think, Brittany? I think this is a great feature. I know, unfortunately, you don't have an iPhone 14, but
no, but my dad has one that will arrive at someday when supplies arrive. And he spends a lot of time with no cell signal, driving back and forth between the coast and the Willamette Valley. And there's a lot of places with no cell signal. And, occasionally there's terrible drivers. And if he got stuck somewhere, I'm really glad that my parents will have that option, because there are people who I know who spend time with no signal.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and the great thing is right now it's only North America. So it's Canada and the US, which actually works good because, if you were to happen to drive up to Canada, which is not too far.
I did not realize it was Canada also. So that's great.
Yeah, US and Canada, and then they're going to soon to expand to France, Germany, Ireland, and the UK.
Oh, so, good.
Jeff, what do you think? I think we've been talking about this for all this time now, and God, this is great stuff.
Well, it's great to see it in action and see it working correctly. Yep. I have to say, I'm sure there are people on Apple's PR team that when they heard that the first successful use of this was in Alaska, were like, yes, because if it had been like Golden Gate Park, it would have been okay. How do we spin that?
Might be a problem. That might be a problem. There's cell service there.
Yeah. So yeah, but this is a great field test for this. I do have a question though. I live in Colorado. So I'm used to the mountain snow traversing equipment. Traveling by snow machine. A snow machine is a device that creates snow. So what was this guy actually traveling by?
Yeah, I'd like to know. They also, I just noticed this. They did mention that Apple says that the satellite connectivity might not work in places above 62 degrees latitude, which is such as northern parts of Canada and Alaska. And Norvik and Kosovo is close to 69% latitude. So I guess he had a couple percent below that he was able to do it. So,
all right, tells you where the satellites are.
Yeah, the troopers even said that they were impressed about the accuracy and the completeness of the information included in the initial alert.
Nice.
So, yeah,
of course, the PR team has been just waiting. I mean, that's half of the reason you put a feature like this into place. Like, it'll help people, but man, it's going to be a great spin too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad I caught that right before we started the show, because it just hit literally 5 minutes before we started here. So. I'm glad we were able to talk about that. So great to hear with that new feature. Next story here. This is from our friend Andrew Orr. Actually, he wrote this article. Apple Watch Series 8 accounted for half the smartwatch market in Q3 of 2022. The global smartwatch market grew in 2022. Apple accounting for roughly half of the overall shipments, thanks to strong sales of the Apple Watch Series 8. So, Jeff, you're in that group because you have that Series 8.
Doing my part for the economy.
That's right. I think Brittany has one too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I stay with the 7. Of course, the analysts from Counterpoint, you always got to question it. That they do show a growth of 48% year over year. And it's good to hear, and then smartwatch rankings, Apple about 50% of the market it's showing here. Again, we're depending on these guys to do analytics. So what do you think, Brittany?
I don't pay attention to these a lot, but I was actually surprised it was only 50. And that maybe speaks to the people I'm around most of the time. Like, this is worldwide, blah, blah, blah. But but I know lots of people who don't have any, and I know like 2 people who have ones that aren't Apple. So, but then again, worldwide, all that stuff.
Yeah, they were going through a lot of. Andrew did go through a lot of the analytics of over worldwide, as well as Garmin, comparing them, because they're obviously the dominant in the watch market for all their accurate stuff that they offer. So, what do you think, Jeff?
Okay. I love seeing stuff like this. At the same time, I take this data with a hefty grain of salt, because Apple does not share this information, so it's all extrapolated. That said, anecdotally, I have noticed people that I know that have older Apple Watch models, and I'm talking like Apple Watch OG and Apple Watch 1 and Apple Watch 2, that are saying, okay, now it's worth getting a new watch for me. And so the fact that there's a lot of people apparently buying these, okay, I guess I have my anecdotal evidence to back that up.
Yeah, no, I know. Like I said, the analytics, you question them, and you've taught me that each time I get these articles, you have to kind of question some of this stuff here. So, in the chat room at youtube.com/intouchwithios, we're live as we're recording this. Bob Beach says he loves the Series 8. So there's another testament of how great the Apple Watch Series 8 is.
Wow, Bob Beach.
Yeah,
this is kind of late for you.
I said, yeah, I'm going to say, Bob, this is pretty late for you. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning, I believe, in the UK as we're recording here. But I appreciate you being up and joining us. So good stuff. Thanks, Bob. So let's go ahead and move on. Next story here. HBO Max, again, has problems with their app. So they're working on an app fix for playback errors on the Apple TV 4K devices. Now, it says they're working on a fix for can't play title errors. Some users have been encountering on the app using Apple TV. It's been widely reported and occurs on all generations of Apple TV 4K using tvOS 16.1 and the latest Max app. So I don't know if this has been updated yet as of yet, but it seems like HBO has been having a bit of a challenge with or they don't have the good developers that work on this app, because I seem to remember that they always been, the last few times they've had problems with this, it's just been a really bad experience. What do you think, Jeff?
Well, you nailed it. HBO Max app typically is a bad experience. And they'll fix something, and then pretty soon we realize something else is broken. Interestingly, a lot of the problems seem to be happening on the Apple TV 4K devices. Yeah. So I have missed out on some of the problems because I still haven't upgraded to an Apple TV 4K.
Yep.
So, yeah, but wow, they need some Q&A people.
Yes, they do. Do you, Brittany, do you use the HBO app, Max app?
No, nor do I have an Apple TV that can put apps on it.
Okay. Oh, you got the 2nd gen or 3rd gen. Okay.
The last one before.
Yeah. 3rd gen, I think it was.
I think that's the
grand update.
Yeah, it still works.
The features, apps, and everything.
You can get
and it does sometimes, but a lot of times we just do broadcast to the TV, which now can support AirPlay.
AirPlay, yeah.
So, or at our other house that doesn't have that set up, we use a HDMI to USB-C cable and watch on the iPad.
Yeah. So let's hope they fix it. Let's definitely hope they fix it. Next story, Apple Music Replay 2022 is revamped with a highlight reel. Apple this week, they did roll out an updated Apple Music Replay experience for 2022, showcasing a highlight reel feature. The overall experience which started to be noticed by Apple Music subscribers on Twitter earlier. And new highlight reel is the forefront of the Replay webpage, which users are encouraged to interact before delving into more detailed information and expanded listening insights. So it seems like it's a little deep here with Replay here. I've never tried this. Brittany, do you have Apple Music? You use that?
I don't, unfortunately. Yeah. All the media stuff I'm behind. Just assume I'm behind on anything media
That's
intake, and we're good.
Yeah. So I mean, Jeff, have you tried this? I haven't actually.
I have. I balance Brittany out because I jump in right away on a lot of this media stuff. What I found is, yeah, it's how I roll. The highlight reel, I watched it, and one part of it made sense. The part where it said the single most played song, and it's actually a white noise track from Apple Music that I play every night when I go to bed. So like the whole first part of the reel is just, which I thought was incredibly funny. But then as it progressed into the rest of the information and all the rest of the data, I'm like, is this actually my Apple Music account? Because none of this is accurate. And then I scroll down and I'm looking at the most played album, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's not an album I've played. And it was like everything I was looking at was just wrong. But there was enough there that was close enough that I'm like, all right, well, I mean, there's a bunch of talking heads in here, so that's a me thing. But it was a lot of fun because I got to experience a lot of content that I've actually not experienced before, even though Apple says I listen to it a lot.
Yeah. This article actually was updated. It looks like Apple did release a news, a post news about this. So I did put the link in the show notes here. So check that out as far as Apple giving you the actual announcement that they launched the new replay experience in the newsroom, I should say. So talked about the redesign and all that stuff. So check that out. And yeah, I'm gonna have to go check this out because you can go to
it's a nice layout.
You know, I guess once the user is eligible for replay, I guess you have to have listening stats. So that's how it works, right? We'll play us in insights. Yeah, let's check that out.
Spotify's had something like this forever, right?
I think so.
Yeah, and Apple's had something like this for a long time too.
Okay.
But Spotify, theirs is better known because Spotify has been very good at letting people know it's a thing, and
letting them share it with other people.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's definitely going to be an interesting thing how that goes. So next story here, Apple announced the Oceanic Plus app, which is now available for the Apple Watch Ultra. They announced that this week is available for the Apple Watch Ultra starting this week. Designed by Hoosh Outdoors in collaboration with Apple, the app serves as a dive computer for recreational scuba diving at depths up to 40 meters or 130 feet. Oh my gosh. This won't be anything I'll be doing, but this is great to see that they're adapting this Apple Watch Ultra for what it was really designed for, is for diving and a lot of sports and
being ultra.
Being ultra, yeah. So it's it is $9.99 a month or $79.99 a year to use and what the users get access to is decompression tracking, tissue loading, unlimited logbook capacity, and more. So
I wonder if they let you add it for like just a month here and there.
Yeah, you could do it $10 a month and just cancel if you'd want to. I'm assuming. So it'd probably be better unless you're one that scuba dives every month to get your full value.
Not
here.
So much, yeah.
Probably not very good on your body doing it that much, but any thoughts, Jeff?
Yeah, this is cool. I'm not getting an Apple Watch Ultra because it's so fracking big.
That's the thing. But I find these features cool, and I kind of want to encourage my dad to get one because he does dive more than I do. And so and do other things like that. So
yeah.
You know what would make me consider getting one of these? First, it needs longer battery life because it's still not an overnight backcountry device. Then the second thing, it needs to work when it's on the outside of your clothes. So what I would want to be able to do is have every function that can work. I know I can't do like my heart rate and stuff if it's on the outside of my clothes, but put it on the outside of a parka when I'm out snowshoeing, and be able to see everything and use as many features as possible on the watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that'll be V2, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. Very, very
I mean,
possible.
there's some things you can do if you go and change settings, because
Right.
otherwise, how could you use it on the outside of a dive suit?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. Again, we're probably not the audience for this, but there probably are people out there listening that are. So I'm glad we talked about it. Next story here. Apple has begun selling several new multi-device MagSafe charging stands from OtterBox and Zenz. This week, actually yesterday as we record, they started selling these multiple device charging accessories for the iPhone, the iPad, the Apple Watch, and the AirPods. OtterBox's choice is a 2-in-1 power bank with MagSafe that will wirelessly charge the iPhone at 15 watts, and also has the magnetic puck for the Apple Watch Series 7 or Series 8 or the Ultra. $149.95 for that. And then a more basic one, which is a 2-in-1 power bank for the Apple Watch. It was also released by OtterBox. And the final one was actually another one that's by OtterBox. It's a multi-mount MagSafe power bank for another $150 here. And Zenz, I guess, this Zenz has a 4-in-1 charger, which will also charge the iPad 30 watts. But there hasn't much detail on that yet. So it's good to see that we're getting more and more these types of chargers, because I like the fact of having a stand and it's all in one place, and you just put my watch here, put my iPhone here, and if I have to, I'll put my iPad there. So what do you think, Jeff?
I think that if you charge your Apple Watch and your iPhone on your nightstand, you need to get something like this.
Yeah.
It's just so nice at night to be able to set my iPhone on the charging mat and then put my Apple Watch on the little charger. It holds it upright, so now it's my bedside clock, and it sounds like just like a frivolous thing, but when you have it on the nightstand, it is just so nice. So that's why I'm actually really happy Apple is doing this, because now this becomes something more people will be exposed to, and yay, capitalism.
Yay. Brittany, do you use a MagSafe charging, or you just use the regular cord?
I use a cord or the cheap Qi charging pads. If I'm out and about, it is inadequate for my battery usage, and
Gotcha.
I would have to change in the summer, because in the summer I run a beta and it's hot outside.
Yes.
And MagSafe charging and Qi charging in general is really, really hot. So I just can't take the heat, so to speak. Also play Pokemon Go. And that is one of the things I'm often doing with it. So I have to plug in. That's the only way I can really do it. But for like lazy places around the house, I can use those. But yeah. So I just don't have a lot of MagSafe charging. I have MagSafe accessories, but they're not charging accessories.
Yeah.
Wow, I hadn't thought about that. I'm actually with you on that, Brittany. The only MagSafe accessories I have a MagSafe case, and then I have that little wallet pocket that goes on the back. And yeah, if you need to have efficient fast charging, it's wire all the time, which is why I always do wired charging in my car. And where it can be lazy, as you said, that's when it goes onto a Qi charger just sitting around the house.
Right.
And for those, like especially overnight, it doesn't have to be fast. So I wouldn't need it to be MagSafe. But I have camera mounts that I like that are Mags, because it's so easy to take it on and off.
Yeah.
So I'll do that sometimes.
That's true. Bob Beach in the chat, he says, will Apple ever resurrect their 3-device power pad? I can't remember the name of that, what it was called. It was something along
Air
those lines.
power.
Air
Was it air
power.
power? That was it. Yeah, that item that
No.
never came back. I agree with you as well. I think Apple is finally realizing, you know what? Let's leave it to the professionals, the device makers, not the or the accessories makers, not them. This is too much.
I mean, what Apple wanted to do was great. The problem is they had a test product in their Skunkworks labs,
Yep.
and they had a keynote event where I forgot who did announcements like the day before. It's like Samsung or something.
Mm-hmm.
It was also that a whole bunch of stuff got leaked from their brand new stuff.
Right. And they needed a surprise.
Yep.
And so they announced this. And my guess is that if it wasn't for the confluence of events that led to them to just dropping that in at the last minute, we would have never, ever heard of this product, except like 10 years, 15 years down the road, someone talking about, in retrospect, when we were working on cool stuff in the labs, we did have this one idea. It's too bad it never worked out.
It did crop up a few places in code, like references to it, but we wouldn't have known what it was about.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, somebody mentioned it, but it may never have made it to a news article because it wasn't a term we already knew.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry for derailing.
Yeah,
this isn't the show where we're allowed to derail.
No, we can derail.
Oh, Brittany, we can try and derail. Dave is just really good at pulling us back onto the tracks.
Gotta really in here. No, it's good to talk about that because it was always like, huh? Why did Apple not make it? But I think, like I said, leave it to the accessories designers. That I think they do a better job with it. The next story here is Apple announces the 2022 App Store winners, best apps of the year. I'm not going to go through all these. We'll grab some of them that kind of stand out here. The iPhone app of the year was Be Real by Be Real. I don't know what that is.
I do know what that is, and I edited myself. Family friendly show. Seriously,
that was a weird call for the top.
That was billing. A really weird one. Yeah, I tried out Be Real because I try out all this stuff. And
thank you for doing it, so I don't have to spend my time on it. I appreciate
it's a social
that,
network.
Jeff.
Okay,
you're welcome, Brittany. And it was just a totally weird thing. And after I think about a week or so, maybe a couple weeks, I just couldn't get into it at all, and it just felt awkward and weird, and I deleted the app, and that was the end of that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. That's a social network app.
Yeah, and the fact that that you weren't sure what it was at first,
right?
That should tell you enough about the app and the service. How could it possibly have made it to this point? We're in that echo chamber, and you didn't even know what it was.
I recognized the name and I couldn't place it, so I had to do a search really quick. And then I looked at it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember people talking about that thing. And I get it, like a reaction to the let's get extra pretty and pretend like I just woke up Instagram lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
But I get that, but at the same time, it wasn't really a good enough foundation for an entire network.
Yeah.
No.
So I'll mention just a few others here. There's a long list here. We don't need to spend all this time on it, but GoodNotes 5, which is GoodNotes is a great note-taking app for the iPad. That's always been a crowd favorite.
It's my number one most used iPad app.
Yeah, a lot of people like it with note-taking and PDF markups, and yeah, it's a great. It's got a great ecosystem. Does have in-app purchases, so you can expand upon it, and it's full. Yeah, you could buy a full version unlock for $9, and then you don't have to deal with the license. So you buy a one-time deal, and then you're happy. 4.8 rating. So yeah, you really can't beat this at all. So it's also available on the Mac as well as the iPhone and the iPad. So you go across the platform in all three.
That's critical for a quality notes app.
Yeah, so you're going across the board. You're just like Apple Notes, which I use a lot. Same deal here. So there's some games here, and we're not much of gamers here. I won't go too much about it. There was some cultural impact winners, which they say have made a lasting impact on people's lives and influence culture. I'll pick one here. How do we feel? Not sure what this is. Emotional well-being journal. I didn't know about this app.
That one.
And it's got almost 4.9 out of 5 stars too. So might be something to check out because I don't think anybody here on the panel used this before. I don't think I haven't.
No.
So good way to discover apps when Apple does this kind of stuff here. So, but good to see. I always like every year towards the end of the year, each year that Apple does this, and we get to find out, what impact a lot of these apps have made. So, next story is Apple won't shut down the App Store Connect for the holidays. Andrew Orr wrote this for us on Apple Insider again here, and that's unusual because usually Apple does shut down for the holiday season, and it's usually the week of Christmas and New Year's to do some to submissions and to updates during the holiday period. But I guess they opted to allow it to happen.
Didn't that happen last year also?
Did they? I don't recall.
I think last year was the first year they did that. And it makes sense that even if this is the first year and I'm just misremembering, Apple has a large enough staff across multiple countries.
Right.
There's no reason why they can't have App Store Connect open through that traditional end of year window when they're closed.
Yeah, I mean, it only makes sense here. So, any thoughts, Brittany?
Yeah. No, not really.
All right, let's go ahead and move on.
I hope people can get their vacations if they need it.
Yes, let's make sure they do get their vacations. And last story of this week, iPhone users can now share their digital car keys with Pixel users. Wider Android support coming soon. 2020, Apple did introduce a digital car key feature that allows users to unlock and start a compatible vehicle by bringing the phone or Apple Watch near the driver's side door. Car keys are stored in the wallet app, same way as a credit card. Feature is limited to select BMWs, Kias, and Genesis vehicles. So Apple has been working with the the engineering task force and others to establish an industry standard for sharing these digital keys across platforms. And this is great to hear. Hey, our Android fans, especially Pixel, a lot of them. It's a perfectly
Pixel's an obvious place to start because it has the same programmer and releasey person.
So I mean,
software and hardware. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Exactly. So no, this is good to see. I mean, I think slowly but surely we're seeing more cross platforms. But I think messages is the next one. I think really has to happen at some point. I know that's a big topic.
It's the way to make it a real thing instead of just a thing you say at a keynote to sound impressive.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so good news. Glad to hear it. And our friends with the Pixels can unlock their cars. I can't do it. I don't have a car that does it. So, but all right, that's the news for this week. Let's go on to our topics. Update now. Apple did release iOS 16.1.2. It's another minor bug fix update that comes 1 week after the release of 16.1.1, and only 3 weeks after 16.1 came out. It's which of course we know added iCloud shared photo library, Matter, live activities, and more. They really didn't get too much into details other than it did fix the crash detection optimizations in the iPhone 14 and 14 Pro models, improved connectivity with wireless carriers. That's important. So that's really an important thing to fix, I would think. But I don't know. I have to go into the support articles. When it first came out, they said, well, details are still waiting available. It says details available soon on Apple's support site here for security updates. So as I said, everybody go out there, update. It's so important to jump on this. Apple doesn't release the .1 or .2 version for no reason. So, but of course, Brittany's on beta, so
I am, yes.
But go do it. And speaking of beta, as we record today, it was just released a few hours ago. Apple seeds the 4th beta of iOS 16.2 and iPadOS 16.2. Did you already update that, Brittany?
Yes, I saw it in your document. I was being good. And I was like, well, I should update. I checked yesterday and it has not crashed and burned in the last 4 hours. I also couldn't tell you what's different.
Yeah, it's saying there really isn't any noticeable additions to what it's updated, and that's generally the case. I mean, I think we're getting really, really close. I know they wanted to release 16.2 in this month. We're at December 1st, so I think it's important to know that that's there. So definitely good to see that they've released this, and let's hope it comes out shortly. So Watch OS 9.2 has been released, as well as tvOS 16.2. Of course, we know tvOS never really has any fanfare or whatever that comes out here. So go, if you're the beta testers like a few of us are here, go out and get it. If not, like I always say, if it's your primary device, don't update your device, please.
Right.
So let's move on. And I thought this would be a great topic because Brittany, of course, has some great videos on her YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/ADDLiberator, right? Did I say that right?
That's the one.
And I got the link in the show notes for this particular one that really caught my eye. I think this was a great video you did on the notification summary. I'd like to review this and what's best for all of us. But Brittany, you can go ahead and start off. And what really stood out for you for the notifications? I know the stacks and all the different settings that you like to that we like to change for customization.
The lock screen changes were the biggest thing this year to impact notifications, but it was just time for me to do an update because the last time I did it was before summaries and all of those things. So I'm a big fan of, if you don't have a reason you need things urgently, to do the old school deliver quietly way, which is no longer a button, but where it doesn't have to make noise, it doesn't have to have a badge, it may or may not show up on the lock screen, but it'll be there in the notification center, which is just the lock screen unlocked, and you can see it when you need it, when you can check in. I don't know how many people check their notification center who aren't obsessed with this stuff like I am. But sometimes I accidentally check it on other people's because it's like an automatic swipe thing now. I get up from working, I'm like, hey, what did I miss? I can see, did I have updates in our guild Discord? But it's not going to bother me. So I do a lot of things that way if I can get away with it. But yeah, taking a look at what do I need and when.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Always.
You did go through some of the what was it? The scheduling summaries, the notification settings, screen sharing. What did you do on the screen sharing that was for notifications?
It's really just a setting of, hey, if I'm sharing my screen, is it allowed to show the notification or not? And I just said no, because what if it's a text from a client or something? So I have those off if I'm in screen sharing mode. Because, also I could be recording a video.
Yeah, that's true. The app notifications, I like turning those off. There's a lot of app notifications.
Most of them are just off.
Yeah.
I didn't say that in this video, but I said it in the previous one. My policy is one notification device to rule them all. So if you can get away with only getting them on one device, the watch counts as part of the phone, and not have them go off on other things. Like Apple's got a little bit better about having them at least go away after a little bit if they've gone off on all the devices, but you just don't need it necessarily. If you always have your phone or your watch with you, like, do I need them to go off on my computer too, or on my iPad too? And so thinking about, like, where do I actually even need it?
Yeah, no, I agree. Jeff, is there any of these that you customize or turn off?
Yes, and Brittany, I love that you talk about this and tell people about this because it's so important. I mean, people get so wrapped up in the notifications. So the way I've set up my notifications, if it's not something I really need a notification for, it's just off. And then if it's a notification that is something that I know I want to know about in a very timely fashion, so something I may need to act on in the very near future, then I will let that tap my wrist. I actually have my Apple Watch on mute all the time, so I never hear sounds from it. And then if it's something that I do want a notification, but it's not critical for whatever reason that I get that notification right away, that stays on my phone, and I can just go and look at notifications, just like Brittany said. So thank you for the validation on the way I'm doing this, Brittany.
The other downside is not just that people get caught up or distracted with them. We can go numb to the stuff that actually matters. So if I'm getting something that's important, but it was in the middle of a bunch of, garbage from Instagram or I don't know, some video game, I may not even realize what I missed. I mean, we have some great things like the notification summaries. Do you remember when we didn't have that?
Right. Yes.
We've got those things that can at least group them together. But if it's going off with sounds all the time, we just go numb to it. And so we may miss something that's actually really, really crucial. Like, hey, I'm going to pick you up in 5 minutes or something.
Yeah.
I wish we had more granular control over what alerts we get and where we get them. And my guess is that if app developers really wanted to do that, they probably could. Example for me, I want to get a notification when I have an Amazon package delivered, so I can go and grab it and bring it inside right away. But all the rest of the notifications that I get from Amazon are non-critical.
And that's the developer. I mean, think about it on Twitter, because you can't get notifications on any other Twitter clients anymore. But like in there, I have it notification center only, but like not for everything, but just for a few things. And I can customize that. And Amazon has zero interest in giving you those options because they want to use it to sell you stuff.
Am I misremembering that when Apple first introduced notifications, they said it cannot be used for advertising?
You're not, and Apple uses it for that too now. They might have even taken it out. It's horrible.
Yeah, I get so many notifications from my apps that are just advertisements.
Oh,
yeah.
And it's actually made me turn off notifications for some apps where I would prefer to have some level of a notification. And I've basically muted the app.
I deleted the Alaska app this weekend because it wanted to tell me about a Black Friday sale. I was like, yeah, your notifications are to tell me my flight's late. That's your only reason for giving them to me. This is not okay.
Crappy.
Yeah.
That's that's horrible.
Which sucks, because then when I download it again, I'll have to like figure out what my login and stuff is. But
but I like what they did in iOS 16 with the change in the notifications, the way they're displayed. We have the count. I don't know how practical that is. Did you like that?
It's also wrong. Because
so
it only
I have
counts
12 notifications and that's it. And then you tap it and then it brings them up, right?
So if you're in focus mode, right? Only the things that you've given permission to show up above the fold, for lack of a better word. Otherwise you have to swipe up to see the rest of them. Yep. And so that count only has the ones that are allowed to go above the fold.
Yeah, that's
so
crazy.
It could say 2 and you could have 6. I'm not a fan of some of the changes that involve the lock screen. But that's because I want my notification center to actually be a completely different area than the lock screen. I want my lock screen to have that nice, pretty separation so I can see my pretty lock screen. And I want the notification center to have nothing but notifications. And I miss that.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Because you still have to do that swipe up to like get to the rest of them, like the extra swipe.
Yep.
Which sounds really privileged as I'm hearing myself say it out loud, but I still feel that way.
Well, Brittany, you may sound privileged, but you are not in this sense. Okay, so I have a thing that I've talked about for a long time, which I dubbed economy of motion. And when you make me do more with taps and swipes to get at something, you're becoming less efficient. And Notification Center now has become horribly inefficient because you have to do a swipe and a tap and then another tap, and then finally you get to see the things that you were going to look at initially, and now you have to tap on the one you really wanted, and there's a lot more going on with taps and swipes now, like significantly more than we had prior to iOS 16. So yeah, I am not a fan of the way Notification Center is working.
And I legitimately don't mind it on the lock screen at all, but that's not how a notification center should work. And when I think about people like, okay, I'll be honest, my parents, and how many notifications are in their notification center that they do not realize are there until Brittany does her periodic pruning. You don't need this one, do you? Mostly because if I don't, my dad will never get back to my text messages. But like, and they have no idea that they're even in there. Now that you have to swipe up an extra swipe, how many people will not have any idea what's there if they don't know they're missing something to even swipe up for it?
Yeah, I've fallen in the habit of not swiping up regularly. And so when I do, I am always surprised at what I'm seeing.
I'll be honest. My video complaining about this feature is my most popular video I've ever made.
I can believe it.
I can.
Maybe it's just because YouTube loves negative. I don't know. I'm not normally negative.
If it's something you don't like, you got to tell it like it is.
Gotta call it out. Yeah. Anyway,
the announce notifications. I don't use that. Do you do use that? How do you use that?
So some are on by default in some version of iOS. But I have it set so it only does it when my AirPods are in.
Okay.
It could also theoretically do it if you're in CarPlay mode. That's a different setting. And it reads them to you. So if I've got my AirPods on, which is my stereo, when I am driving, which we talked about before and very much alarmed one of the other panelists on my voice's side. It's going to read my notifications. I don't have CarPlay and I don't want to look at it. And I'm on a 2-hour drive. And so it's really handy to have it listen, like say it out loud to me. And then it will pause. And if I talk during that time, it's Siri's going to automatically do an offer to reply to somebody. Not offer, but if I say, hey, reply, I don't have to do the whole hey incantation first. I just start talking and then I can do that interaction. You can do it for a lot of different apps. Messages is the main one I have it for though.
Okay. I forgot that is turned on by default. And I do my messages on CarPlay are read back to me. I see you can turn off reply without confirmation. So that's kind of dangerous because it should read back to you. And then you don't have CarPlay,
I don't have that turned on, and I'm telling you it did that to me the other day anyway.
Did it? Okay.
And I don't know why. I was like, oh, fine, whatever.
Do you use this feature at all, Jeff, for the notifications?
I do, but I don't use it a lot. And it comes back to the same thing I said already. I want more granular control. So, for example, let's say I get a text message from Amazon telling me that there's some special going on. I don't need to hear that. But let's say my mom or my dad sends me a message. I probably want to know what that is right now, and I want to hear it right now.
You can control it by app. You may not be able to control within the app, but you can say messages is allowed to announce, not Amazon.
Well, yes, but what I mean is like I want the granular control so that I can say this person, when they message me, go ahead and play it in my head for me, but for everyone else, don't.
Or how about you never tell me if somebody sends me an image? This is not going to help me in any way, shape, or form. I can't look at it.
Right.
I don't care. And then it's my actual least favorite part is when it's a really long message, it won't automatically read it. It'll say you received a long message. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, how about you read it to me now? It will do it if you ask directly, but like, this is exactly what you're for.
Right. And the other thing is where it'll read a message up to a point, and it'll stop like mid-word, because that's all it had for whatever its preview thing was. I've had it do that too.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't know what the parameters are where it's between reading you the message and telling you have a long message. But I have had it where it goes along, and then whatever preview I would have seen in notifications, where it stops after like the second letter of a word, that's where the speaking stops too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's adorable and terrible.
I know, isn't it just so precious?
It is very precious.
Oh, S person, you're adorable.
Yeah, bless your digital heart.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we could go on and on with this topic because we have such passionate thoughts of what this, the way this should be set up. But I'd like to make sure we hit on a couple other topics here. And focus mode, that's the other one that I know you use a lot. I should use it more, and I don't. And you've got it all set up, the focus mode. I know I've got a link in the show notes here from OWC Max Sales. They have a great guide that they just created here. Cool. But using so you basically set up the 4 different sections there: the do not disturb, personal, sleep, and work. Do you utilize all those?
I have my own. Sleep is, I think, the only native one that I use.
Oh, okay.
And do not disturb, the old fashioned do not disturb. I have, and I don't even use sleep sometimes the way it's intended. Anyway, I have one for wind down at the end of the day, not what Apple calls wind down, because they turn on your sleep focus mode, which is not what I want. But I called it wind down in honor of the intended wind down. And it's, what do I want to be doing in the evening? So, I don't want to be getting, not that I get email alerts anyway, but like, I wouldn't want to get email alerts. I don't get alerts from my business partner, much as I love her. But I will get them from my family, my friends, that I'm more likely to communicate with in the evening, because that's fine. It's not going to send me down some rabbit hole, but I wouldn't get them from work related things or anything like that. And so I also have a pleasing little lock screen that I like that has sleepy Pokemon on it to remind me to be sleepy and, not stay up too late. Little things like that. And you can also link it, not only with a lock screen, but also with a watch face.
I was going to say, yeah, it's, I like that. I like how you can name your focus and create that focus, customize it. Like in this article, it shows a book club, and you can set the color and what it is, and then you just go in and set it. That's great. And same thing with the lock screens. You can have it right there on the lock screen for you, and then be able to set a custom homepage for the focus mode if you want. So that they really come a long way with focus mode since previous versions of iOS. Jeff, do you use focus mode a lot?
I use focus mode a lot, but I haven't set up a lot of custom focus mode things. Yeah. And I started to play with that a while ago and realized that I was doing the thing that you know how some people, when they get into the whole GTD workflow, getting things done workflow, their workflow becomes setting everything up and not actually doing it. And my problem with focus mode was that I was getting so focused on trying to come up with all these amazingly complex modes that I realized I'm kind of defeating the purpose here, because I'm essentially replicating the same thing several times when what I really need to do is just set do not disturb. And so I use do not disturb all the time. And then sometimes I use the sleep one, but like you, Brittany, I'm not using it probably when I'm in bed.
No.
I use it when I'm actually going to sleep, but not for my hey, chill out, get ready for bed. Are you trying to use up all my willpower, not going off on a GTD tangent with you right now, Jeff?
After saying it, I realized what I did. And
I didn't, I won't, but
it would have been a great test of Dave's ability to pull us back on the rails, because when you took off, I would have been running right beside you.
That aside, if you don't have a customization you already know you want, yeah, that's why I still have a do not disturb, because it's on a lot. But I realized, when I'm getting ready in the morning, what I really can't afford to not have? My reminders and calendars alert me. Because what if I forgot about something that I'd put in my calendar and I'm getting ready in the morning, right? So I let it in, right? I'm getting ready. I don't want that when I'm asleep, but while I'm getting ready in the morning, I for sure want one of those things that I set for myself a while ago to actually do its job and remind me of that thing. Yeah. So I have a special one for routines that's going to let reminders, specifically just reminders and calendars in.
Okay. So Brittany, what you're doing right now is helping me work through I'm trying to create a problem where I've already built the solution, sort of problem that I was having with some of the focus mode things I was doing. And what you gave me is a perfect example of where one of the custom focus modes that I wanted to create would actually be useful. And this is the way to do it. So thank you.
You're very welcome. And I even charge you for it. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well done.
I'm totally teasing you, Jeff.
One last thing I want to talk about with focus mode. Ozok 17 in the chat mentioned about driving seems kind of neat. I think he meant driving focus. I think that's an important thing to have in most cases, because you should be focusing. And then if someone sends you a text, and instead of it going through, it actually, the focus mode automatically sends a text, say, "Hey, I'm driving right now. I'll get back to you as soon as I'm not driving." I don't know if you've set that up before, but I was on at one point, but I turned it off.
I deleted it so fast.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't want to be looking at my phone. Of course, I also usually have my AirPods in, so I would have gotten it auditorily.
In one ear, of course.
Yes, in one ear. But that is a great idea for a lot of things. What I don't like is the text back, because I don't want to create a world where the only reason I didn't respond to you immediately was because I was driving.
Okay.
I don't want that to be the social norm. Now, that is not about how you should use it. If you want to use it that way, that's fine. I didn't like the feature existing because I don't like encouraging that.
Okay.
Yeah, the problem for me with the driving one, and I did use it for a while, all the way up until I got a message that I didn't know about that told me, "Hey, I know you're on the way, but I had car trouble. I'm not where you're expecting me to be. Can you please come get me here?" I show up at the wrong place because my phone didn't tell me about the message. And luckily the two locations were close enough that I was able to show up where I needed in a reasonable amount of time. But at that point I was like, okay, well, this person isn't a VIP. They're not going to be a VIP. I'm just turning this off and never using it again.
Now they do have that option of, if you display it, someone can say notify anyway.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
which I have,
but Apple already
hit
lost me on that one.
Right. No, I know, I get it, but that is the reason that exists. I am torn on it because yes, it is nice to have that happen in an emergency. But also, like, I've accidentally hit it on somebody else and felt terrible because I didn't have a confirm. And I don't know if it's happened recently because I haven't accidentally done it in a little while. But like, I don't know if I want to give other people that authority. Like, I assume you will do the normal thing and call twice if it's that urgent.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. I don't even remember now which of my focus modes have it enabled or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad it's there. and I have a feeling for a lot of people, being able to have their phone automatically go into focus mode when they start driving is a really good thing.
Yeah.
And for me, someone who knows that I don't need to look at my phone. If it's really important, I'm going to get a tap on my wrist and I'll look when it's safe. But that's not everyone. So I'm glad we have options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
Absolutely.
can use the driving mode without the text back feature too. That's true. Another thing about the notify anyway, my mother-in-law, when I had that on, she, bless her heart, she's like, "Oh, I didn't want to text Brittany because it said not to bother her right now." It's like, no, that means it's okay. You won't bother me.
You just won't be able to respond right away.
Yeah. So I know at least one person who it didn't click. The messaging did not click for them.
Yeah. All right, let's move on and go on with a couple more topics here I'd like to hit. Jeff, you turned me on to this, and I can't believe this website. So I really wanted to talk about it briefly.
Oh, yes. I'm glad you liked it.
Content.xyz. And at first you sent me the link to the all Apple keynotes. Basically, the way this was set up, and I just by me observing here how it works, they've set this up where this context, you just type in a word and it automatically goes to YouTube and it looks for a specific topic that you type into that search box. So you type in, let's say, iPhone, it'll say, "Oh, we talked about that at WWDC 2015. And it'll actually go to that part of the video and actually play that part of the video that that talked about that. And it's like, holy cow, this is like insane. So I kept doing, like, put iPod, so it went back to 2012.
You can put phrases in too.
And you can put phrases in as well. Yeah, you could actually type in a phrase, and it actually brings you right to YouTube and any of the videos that are, which hopefully you assume that those are still out there, as I know Apple was pulling a lot of them down. But yeah, this is just pretty awesome. And it's not just limited to Apple, but you also, if you go to their main page, they have like different libraries, and then people are jumping on this all the time, like Marcus Brownlee. MKBHD, you could search. I mean, he's got thousands and thousands of videos. Anything he talked about, you could just type a word or a phrase, and you can find out what he talked about, and it grabs right to it. Mr. Beast, that's a big YouTube guy. I think he must have 90 million followers or something like that. I don't know what it is. It's pretty phenomenal that he has all these followers. So yeah. Just this video, I just typed in, he's got 114 million views on this video. I was like, holy cow. Yeah, he's got 115 million subscribers. Must be nice. This is
amazing.
This is a really, I like to know about these guys and how they created this and the back end of it. And it looks like they're adding more and more content as you go here. You can contact them and you actually say, "Hey, can you add our video content in?" And no, I don't have anything, but yeah, there we go. I want to click on the best of Elon Musk. So enough of him for. So check that out. It's in links in the show notes. I think this is super cool, and thanks for finding this. And Jeff,
sure. I'm guessing best of Elon Musk is showing him accidentally breaking the window on his truck that still isn't shipping.
Exactly. All right, so let's a few more here. I wanted to talk about password managers. There was a big story that broke this week that LastPass, again, latest data breach exposed with some customer information. They declared that yes, there was some information that was out there, that it was exposed. They get data from your user accounts or whatever. And this isn't the first time this has happened to LastPass. I use 1Password. I believe that. I don't know if you do, Brittany. I think Jeff does as well. Mm-hmm. So I haven't heard much when it comes to 1Password. I think it's a pretty safe application that can be used across all platforms.
1Password hasn't had any data breaches ever.
Yeah, nothing crazy like LastPass. And I mean, once, okay, it happens, but twice or more, shame on you. I mean, this is just. I mean, LastPass has really gone downhill since a lot of the changes that happened to that company. So I just wanted to bring that up. Yeah, I wanted to bring this up.
I was just about to use it for something.
LastPass?
I'd recommend that you not.
Something anyway, that's what this organization I'm working with uses, and it's either that or emailing them my passwords. And so yeah. It's a whole thing.
I put another article here in the show notes that also talks about over the last 8 or 9 years who has had breaches. It did list something with 1Password. I don't think it was anything really big.
Yeah, the 1Password thing, it wasn't a breach. Really, it was a security flaw that affected all the password managers on Android. So,
okay.
So LastPass was lumped into that one as well, and that's the one where I'm willing to give all the password managers a pass, if you will.
Yeah,
because I think that one was actually out of their control, but they all did what they needed to address the issue in Android right away. So that's good.
Yeah. So got that article in there as well as the article about LastPass. So check that out. So next thing I want to talk about. Yeah, you should. I wanted to talk a little bit about the iPad 10th gen. I haven't. I've got one at work. I haven't actually opened it yet, but I want to take a look at. How it performs. I mean, I have an M1 iPad Pro, so. But our friends at iFixit, they shared a video. Actually, this was today as we record this. The actual video teardown of the new 10th gen iPad, and it did a closer look in the tablet. There's a revealing why it lacks support of this 2nd gen Apple Pencil, because that was the biggest beef of this. Not only is the fact that it still has a Lightning connector, but it does support the Apple Pencil, but you have to have the 1st gen that plugs it into the bottom like a crazy thing. So as they suspected, the teardown showed components for the iPad's landscape positioned front camera occupied the space where the wireless charging coil would have gone if they would have supported the 2nd gen Apple Pencil. Well, I guess they found the landscape mode of the camera was more important than supporting Apple Pencil 2. And they also confirmed that the iPad has a stretch release battery pull tabs like the 5th gen iPad Air and 6th gen iPad Mini, making easy for the repair shops to replace the battery, which that's a good thing. At least we added that. So, but again, disappointing that it still has the Lightning connector. It's the only iPad left in the line that still has that. But good. I'm glad that we were able to clear that up for us, and at least make a decision which one you want. I get people a lot of time asking me, should I get the iPad Air or should I get the iPad 10th gen? Like, $150, just get the Air. Come on. I mean, it's that iPad is so worth it. I mean, for what it does, and you're not paying the high price of the Pro. So, give thoughts.
And the 9's not a bad option. Currently either for the
9th gen, which saves.
I was glad they kept that around. So I have a friend who has been in denial about her vision issues for a long time, and was like recognizing them and stuff. And I put together a fund from our friends. This is when I did not have enough money to have funded it myself, but I was like, this is what she needs. She needs an iPad. She needs a thing she can zoom in. And so we were able to get the bottom of the line at the time, which was like a really, really good thing for her to have at that point. And like it changed her life to have access to this, but I don't know if I could have gotten together enough money for so I'm really glad they keep around a bottom one, because the processors aren't improving that fast anymore. They're improving, they're good. We get upgrades, but they aren't improving that fast. And so older ones really can last a long time. And the fact that they still have one for sale that, you could order and ship to somebody who really needs it. Like, I'm glad that they still have those.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So check it out. I think it's definitely worthwhile that it does have that. So One last topic I wanted to hit real quick is we talked about iCloud.com. I'm not sure if you were aware of this, Brittany, that iCloud.com is now has a complete redesign. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's got widgets and you can customize the page and all that stuff. But one of the things that really stood out that I didn't even realize is the fact that you can now restore recently deleted files, bookmarks, calendars, or contacts. I mean, I heard someone talk about the fact that they had 200 plus contacts that were on their between all of their devices, and they ran the duplicate contacts feature in iPhone and lost over half of them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's like, holy cow, let's panic here. How do you go and recover this? And you thought about it's like, oh my God, you might be out of luck unless you did a manual, like unless you had actually exported all your contacts into a file, which I highly recommend that you do that if you have, even if you have 40 or 50 contacts, whatever amount of contacts you have, many of us have hundreds, you should have you should run a backup,
on your Mac.
On your Mac, and then have that, just in case. I mean, I do that all the time. But what you can do is you can go under the advanced and click any one of the restore links under advanced in the iCloud sign in here, and it does give you does give you the option to be able to go in and restore it, which is just pretty incredible. So check that out. I think it's something to be aware of, that Apple does give you that option, on iCloud.com, and you may and I've always wondered, other than manual exporting, that's a great option.
I did not know about the restore. That's amazing. But since they did this redesign beta thing, my colleague who's on a PC, right? Who's on a PC, or pulled it out of beta, words. We do meetings together, and a lot of our stuff is in Apple Notes, and then she can't always refer to it easily. And so some days the stuff just won't pull up on iCloud.com, but she says it's been a lot more stable since the redesign came out. Yeah. So
in fact,
really great.
Since this article was published, they made it even easier. There's an actually, if you scroll all the way down the bottom of the page, there it shows your plan, your storage, and data recovery. You just click that, and it brings you to the restore files, restore bookmarks, restore calendars, or restore contacts. And I'm looking in here now. I've got 5 backups going for the whole month of November that are backed.
Nice.
All you got to do is you click it, and then you just click the restore, one of the restores, and it restores it. 5 archives. I mean, This is just huge. I mean, this is a huge tip, and knowing that you've got this safety net, if you're not remembering to do all your other backups. Like we say, always run your time machine backups. Always run iMazing if you can. Using iMazing is always a great utility that I know all of us use to back up our iPhones and our iPads. But here's another tool that Apple is providing, and I think very, very few people know about it. So
do we have a moment to talk about the problems Apple has unintentionally created for backups?
Great.
Okay, so if you're using a tool to back up your iPhone, your iPad to your Mac, regardless of whether or not you were encrypting that backup, there's a thing that came along with iOS or 16.1, or actually it might be in the Mac OS side. It doesn't matter. There's this thing now that requires you to type your password on the device every time a local backup is going to start. And so the idea was that it's supposed to protect users from having someone try and intercept and make a backup of their device and get all of their content. The reality is it's actually creating a barrier where people are less likely to let the backup happen, because you have to have the device like right there in front of you so you can type the passcode on the device to start the backup. And and if you have a backup happening once a day, all right, well, that's once a day, every single day where you have to type that. If it's a backup that happens a couple times a day, Well, now you've just doubled the number of times you have to enter a passcode just to make an otherwise automated backup happen. So be aware of that when you see that popping up for you. It's a thing, and it's Apple's fault.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good. Yeah, it's a good overview of that, because yeah, always blame Apple's doomed and blame Apple for that, but there are some flaws that you have to be aware of.
Yeah, iMazing does have what I think is a much better solution that they tossed out there. let people set their backup to be encrypted, authenticate once, just like we used to do, and then from that point forward, you don't need to authenticate on the device every single time. If, however, you are not encrypting your backups, make people authenticate each time for that.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I got a couple items here in the chat. Ozak 17, thank you for being on our chat tonight. This is great to see some interest here. Go through at least a couple of these here. He does ask, is there any way to turn off the requirement of typing a password locally? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
That's a thing that Apple introduced with one of the most recent software updates. So it's a thing that we are just stuck with until Apple changes it.
Yeah. And he did say that he should figure out how to export specific context. So you're probably better off just exporting all of them, because otherwise you're going to be really pulling out your hair doing that. One other thing I'll ask is, he asked about using keychain or keychain access. I'm not a huge fan of having to use that as a primary way of using password storage. You could use it as a secondary. You like it?
Yeah, when I didn't get the other one set up in time, I just kept using the keychain one.
Yeah, I use both, and the good thing about it in the iPhone, you go into the passwords settings, and you can actually tell it to offer you passwords from 1Password as well as keychain.
There's nothing wrong with keychain, and I love that it's there, because Apple has reduced the barrier to entry for password management, and that's a really good thing. For people like me and Dave, where we need our password manager to do much more than keychain does.
Right.
Well, great. That's what Apple has always called a third-party opportunity. And in this case, that opportunity has netted 1Password some money. So, if you're feeling kind of intimidated jumping into password managers, keychain. And if it can work well for someone like Brittany, it can work well for pretty much anyone.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, meaning it has to be robust to keep up with your needs.
Yeah.
And occasionally I do have to look it up, because I don't have it saved into Chrome,
Sure.
On the occasions I use Chrome. But my 1Password has gotten out of date. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it can. It's very easy to do. So with that, let's go ahead and wrap things up. What an awesome show, you guys. Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun. Thank you to everybody in the chat room that joined us this week. That's so exciting. Glad to see. And Ozak 17, very active in the chat. Thank you for all your great questions. Sorry we couldn't get to all of them, but we tried. But thank you for being here, and for everybody else that was here. So let's go ahead and wrap up for this week. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. Support the show by buying me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We'd really appreciate it. You also can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We would really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you are notified when we are live streaming, which is usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/intouchwithios, where you can watch the show live and also listen to past shows and watch the past shows. Visit In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of the topics we discussed are flipped into that magazine. The link is in our show notes. You can subscribe to the show in your favorite podcatcher, including Pocket Casts, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, Beamer, so many others. But better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65 and on Mastodon at DaveG65. The kids Mastodon.cloud. So check me out there. And Brittany Smith, thank you so much for being here. It was way overdue, and we had such a blast. Thanks for being here. Where can people find you?
Thanks so much for having me, Dave.
Yeah. Where can we find you?
Oh, yeah, that part. Wow, I am tired today. I'm sorry. On the occasions I do tweeting, it's ADD Liberator. And as Dave said earlier, on YouTube, it's ADD Liberator. If you're interested in any of the other stuff I do, my website is conquer.consulting.
Great. Thank you. Check out our videos. They're really awesome.
Thank you.
And Jeff Gammon, as always, thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. Where can people find you?
It's always fun to be here, so thank you. Okay, I'm Jay Gammett. I'm basically all the socials. So I guess the big ones right now, that would be Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Mastodon. I'm on mastodon.social. And then I'm on a bunch of shows. So Tuesdays on Mac Voices Live, quite often with both of you. And then on Thursdays on The Big Show, Fridays on The Mac Show, most Thursday evenings here, which is always awesome. And then also on The Context Machine, Brian Chaffin and I decided to team up again because apparently we just can't get enough of each other.
Why not?
Right.
Thanks again. And thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we enjoyed doing it. And we'll talk again soon. Thank you. Awesome. That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Good times.
Yeah.
Oh, the thing that I forgot to say when we were talking about the password managers that we use, in response to the question, I actually do use Keychain all the time as well. That's what's storing all of my network login stuff. Because if I'm hopping on a Wi-Fi network, that password needs to be somewhere where it autofills.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the reason that my 1Password got so out of date is I'd create all of my logins on my phone, and you have to manually go in and do it. And you can, and I had a habit for a while where I would I'll create it in 1Password and then have it fill, and it was just a lot more steps.
Yeah, that's where the newer versions of 1Password are nicer because they integrate the way you would want them to you. So you don't have to do that thing where it's like this kludgy thing with 1Password, or you're doing it in Keychain and then you have to remember later to get that password out.
Yeah.
Okay.
They finally added 1Password 8 support to the passwords.
So that was an Apple thing.
Okay.
They had to allow it to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they have now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's working.
If it's passive, it'll come down to if there's a reason where it's like we're sharing passwords for our business stuff often enough, then I will get a business license, but it has not come up much yet. So, and the other organization that I work with apparently uses LastPass. So.
Okay. I guess for LastPass, you're going to have a very segregated database that has just the stuff you need for them.
Right. No, and that was going to be the case anyway. But it's not like it's insignificant. Like, the Google account that does my YouTube. My booking system for my clients. And it's not insignificant. Yeah. So
I see
it's
your
actually
problem.
all the stuff I care about the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see your problem.
Yeah.
I'm going to say